Welcome viewers. This is Janiser Ahmed from Millennium TV USA. I welcome you to my show News and Views. Viewers, plenty of news happening all around, particularly on the border front where DHS Chief Secretary John Kelly, he has stated that illegal crossings into the United States from the southern Mexican US borders, they have declined by close to 40% in the past 2 months. Viewers, this has been seen as a big victory so far as the controlling the illegal immigration or the influx of the illegal migrants is concerned, who are pouring into the United States, and this process previously had been going on for a very long time. But this new strategy, it seems to be now making a difference, where President Trump previously he declared a kind of a very strict campaign. In fact, a very kind of a very harsh kind of tactics he stated that were being initiated against this illegal activity, against the drug lords, the gangsters, and the inflow of the criminals coming into the United States. Viewers, DHS Secretary John Kelly, he also stated that whereas this activity has declined dramatically by over 40%, he also stated that the human traffickers, generally known as coyotes, they have also increased their fee that they charge, for letting the illegal persons who are trying to come into the United States. And it was stated that, for instance, previously while they were charging close to 3,500 US dollars, and now they have raised their charges up to close to 8,000 and 9,000 US dollars. So it shows that they have been hurt badly by this recent spate of activities on part of the US Border Patrol that have been trying to secure the US borders and trying to limit all the illegal activity going on the southern borders. Viewers, DHS Secretary stated that this was a very welcoming news, because it shows that the President Trump's whatever he had been saying on this, on the border front, it is now proving to be very effective. The fact that this has sent a very strong message not only to the persons who are trying to undertake this very perilous journey, but also the different big cartels or the gangsters, or there are notorious gangsters, in fact, on the Mexican side of the border, who facilitate the people, and then there are a number of other elements that are involved in this heinous activity. Viewers, also recently the DHS initiated a policy whereas all the persons coming from the southern border, from the Mexican side, whether they happen to be Mexican or not, they would be returned to Mexico, because now the fact remains that Mexico seems to be their main channel through which they seem to cross into the United States, and that is the place where this entire illegal activity at the end of the day happens. So in a way, Mexico, it has to realize, and it has to really understand that it also shares some kind of responsibility for this entire activity, because that is where it's unsafe and unsecure borders that the trouble really starts. The people, they take the human traffickers, they take advantage of the situation where they have the entire field open to them, no border crossings, no fence or something like that on the Mexican side, coming from the Central American and deep into the South American side. They face virtually no opposition, although in recent years there have been press reports saying that the Mexican border authorities, they too have been taking some very stern measures in order to limit this activity. But so far as the facts and figures are concerned, they do not show that there has been any significant improvement on that front, and it really shows that more work needs to be done on their part in order to bring this all illegal kind of activity to an end. So viewers, previously there was a kind of a war of words going on with the Mexican president Enrique Peña Nieto, saying that he would not be paying for the wall, and that he stated that time and over again. But the recent measures taken by the United States, and in fact which reinforced the importance of the wall. And as recently DHS Secretary Mr. Kelly, he stated that primarily for the people who were undertaking this dangerous journey, they were putting their lives at risk by by going for this something that was going to lead into a kind of a disaster for them, because they were risking their lives, putting their lives into jeopardy when they undertake a journey that takes them across harsh dry deserts and crocodile infested waters, and other areas that are controlled by criminals and gangsters. So they end up oftentimes injuring themselves, harming themselves, even losing their lives. So that is where they have to understand the dangers that they are inviting when they undertake this perilous journey. And secondly, most importantly, this is boosting the business of human traffickers, and they have been exploiting the people wanting to come to the United States. They sell them this dream that they can come to the United States and charge a very huge amount of money, and that's this whole vicious circle it operates. And at the end of the day, it is the people who stand to lose. Also, at the end of the day, it does a very serious blow to the public safety of the United States, where recently concerns have been raised that a number of US citizens, they have been harmed by illegal migrants who come from the Mexican side. For instance, there was this President Trump, during the campaign trail, he kept talking about the need to create some sort of an organization where people, particularly the victims who have been harmed by the illegal migrants, they can have some kind of legal redressal. And so that really shows the amount, the enormity of the entire problem, that this is a kind of a multifaceted problem. And the right way to go about it, as President Trump has been time and again reiterating, is to erect the border wall. And previously there was this fence in place which was erected after President George Bush. He enacted a law called Secure Fence Act, and that was when this fence came into existence. But recently the focus has been placed on a concrete wall, and also improving other kinds of surveillance methods, such as using drone technology, surveillance sensors, and also beefing up the human patrol carried on by the border security patrol. So this is a kind of a whole set of a package that is going to work in order to alleviate the dangers that emanate from the southern border, viewers. So viewers, for the time being, it really shows that the strategy employed right now, it is working, and it is proving to be a win-win for the for the US public primarily, and also for the people, for the unfortunate people, the uninformed, who fall into the hands of the big cartels and human traffickers, who lure them in by selling them this dream of that they can make it rich in America, and that they end up putting their lives in jeopardy. They harm themselves, and oftentimes they lose their lives by when they are trying to cross over into the United States. So viewers, at the end of the day, this is going to be quite an effective strategy. It is going to keep the people of the United States safe, because this unprotected part of the border, it is leading, it is allowing at times the criminals to also take advantage of the situation. And at the end of the day, when the border is there, when the concrete wall is there, this is going to secure the safety of the people. And as President Trump has stated, then that's when the comprehensive package on immigration, it can be worked on. Because first, as he has been time and again stating, the border needs to be secured. So they need to have this sense of security, that the borders of the United States, they are safe and secure, and that all this illegal uh, activity, the influx of the criminals, of the undocumented, it comes to an end. So viewers, for the time being, a very good performance by on the border front, viewers. Here we'll be taking a quick break. Stay with us. We'll be just right back. Welcome, viewers. Viewers, news on the war front is that U.S. Marines, they have taken the warfare to a next level. In fact, going after ISIS in Syria, where they have been seen to have making big ground, big victories against the terrorist network. Viewers, previously Pentagon also stated that in Iraq, ISIS has lost all access to oil. Previously they were, this was their major source of funding, but now with all the access gone, and the group, it is being completely destroyed, and the U.S. military, it is making big victories by going right after them and taking them on. So this campaign is proving successful, as numbers, they tell us that their forces, they are being completely depleted. For instance, the recruitment of into ISIS, this has also declined dramatically. Hence, the group is on, it's losing its ground by the day. So a major victory for the U.S. Marines, who have shown this courage and bravery to go right after the source and strike where the problem exists. Viewers, also moving on, International Women Day. It was celebrated on Wednesday, the 8th, all across the U.S., all over the world, but with much fanfare in the U.S., where women, they celebrated the day, in fact, by not going to their workplaces. In fact, they were urged not to go to their workplace in order to symbolize their impact on economy. Viewers, believe it or not, but so far as the Western society is concerned, particularly the U.S., women they have gained a lot, and their status, it has increased. They now talk. It is people are being talking about equal opportunity, equal pay scale, etc., equal pay benefits, and women, by the day, they are getting their fair share of what they're are looking for. So, but this day, as it symbolizes that women still, they have a lot to work for, and they have as they have been out on the streets, it signals that they need something more. For instance, previously Emma Watson was seen on a social media website talking about what feminism meant, about the ability to make decisions for themselves. And recently, Anne Hathaway, while wearing a red dress, she was also seen as championing the rights of women on the International Women's Day. She was talking about, she was taking the debate to an altogether kind of a next level, by stating that women should be given the choice to decide for themselves that what's right and what's wrong for them, and they have the liberty to make decisions on their own. But it's a quite it's a long-winded kind of a debate. On the one front, we have people saying that women, they have actually gained a lot in the U.S., where they have more liberties and freedom, and that there is then there is this another group saying that some issues, they need to be worked upon. For instance, equality in pay scale being one such matter, and that on the Women's International Day, if women do not go to their workplace, that will really let their employers know how important they are, that their absence, that it can make a difference. So viewers, that was what different women activists were saying, and they have a right to, of course, express their views. Also, viewers, in a very interesting development, somebody put up a statue of a young girl in right in front of the raging bull on the Wall Street. The little girl, she is seen as staring down right at the raging bull, right in its eyes, and which is seen by some people as a kind of that this little girl, it really symbolizes the strength of women up against the forces that the raging bull, it epitomizes that this little girl, it really has the courage to stand up to the raging bull, and it can stand up for her rights, and that's what this entire raging bull versus the little girl story, it really tells us. So viewers, we do not know how long that statue is going to be there, because it might turn into a work of art, because now that it has been associated with the raging bull, it has become a quite a matrix, and it looks quite pleasing to the eye, and tourists and visitors, they have been thronging the place, taking snaps with the little girl along with the raging bull, and so it's a kind of a new work of art that has been added to the Wall Street, and one more reason why you should also go to the Wall Street and see for yourself. Viewers, also in another interesting development, President Donald Trump, he paid his tribute to women on the International Women's Day, and he stated that he paid his tribute and respects to women all over the world and in the U.S. For their brave role that they have been playing. Also, viewers, Vice President Mike Pence, he also had words of praise for women on the International Women's Day. So viewers, quite a lot of dose of good words for the women, and particularly on this day when their role is needed all the more. So viewers, this debate really, it can go on, and women's issues, women's rights, they are naturally human rights issues as championed by many leaders, and naturally they have a right to express themselves in whatever way they want. So viewers, here we'll be taking a quick break. We'll be just right back. Welcome, viewers. Viewers, news from Hollywood. In fact, from once loved actor Steve McQueen is very quite enthralling news. Viewers, the Ford 1968, oh yeah, but the iconic Mustang drove in 1968 film bullet has been missing. Welcome, viewers. Viewers, moving on, the iconic Ford Mustang fastback, which was driven by Steve McQueen in his very famous 1968 movie Bullet, which went missing for decades. It has now been found and recovered. It was found at a scrapyard in deep inside California, where a couple of car restorers, they stumbled into the car, and then they checked the vehicle in identification number on Google, and it turned out that this was the original car that Steve McQueen had used in his famous movie. And then they contacted one of their associates, Ralph Garcia, who had built a fortune out of making Eleanor Mustang, based on that has featured in Nicolas Cage's famous movie Gone in 60 Seconds. So they contacted Mr. Garcia, and then they struck a deal, and then they later approached the Ford car manufacturing company, and later it was confirmed that this was the real car that had actually been used by Steve McQueen and which had gone missing after the movie was shot. Viewers, immediately after the movie, this car somehow it just went missing, and Steve McQueen, he tried to locate the car, uh, but he couldn't, because he wanted the Mustang to have in his own private collection of cars, but he was unsuccessful, and it turned out that all his life he could not get his hands on the car. But recently, with this discovery, it has been seen as a kind of a kind of a good news for Queen's fans, who would be happy at seeing that car, which featured in the very famous car chase in the Bullet movie. Viewers, it is also being recommended by film critics that the scenes in Bullet, they are far more amazing and interesting than, for instance, Fast and Furious, or the car chase in Gone in 60 Seconds. That this movie is far greater and far more interesting than those two movies, and the car chase scene is very much interesting and very much thrilling, so to speak. So viewers, quite a discovery for car lovers, and particularly the people who are Steve McQueen fans. Viewers, moving on, there's another news where a boy, he left a $5 heartbreaking note after he took away wind chimes from a woman's home. Viewers, what happened was that this note was left on the door of a woman, and explaining that though the brothers and sisters, they were taking away the wind chime, and they were leaving $5 in its place, and they were trying to explain to the woman in that note that she shouldn't get mad, and that they really couldn't help taking this away, because this wind chime, this reminded his sister of their mother, who is no more. So they left that note, and one day the woman, she found that note, and she found it very, very heartbreaking, because it tells really the story of a family, in fact. And she later tried to locate the boy on the internet, on through various posts on Facebook all around the globe, but the boy and his sister, they could not be located. In fact, she later stated that she wasn't angry at what the brother and sister had done, and that she had another wind chime to present as a gift to the boy. But no word from the brother and sister. But later she stated that she can really relate to what had happened, because she also had lost her mother when she was 5 years old, and stating that she holds no grudge towards the boy who stole her wind chime. So we was quite a heartbreaking story, and we hope that the boy, he eventually gets the message and is able to get in touch with the women, perhaps for better. Viewers, moving on. Also, we have news from Russia, where recently Russian leader Vladimir Putin, he has signed a law that decriminalizes the domestic violence. In other words, the punishment for inflicting domestic violence on women, it has been dramatically reduced. Now, anybody who is a perpetrator of domestic violence, who uses force against their partners, they will be sentenced to no more than 15 days in jail if they do not use, provided they have not used violence or any physical threat. Previously, viewers, this jail sentence, it was close to at around 2 years, but now this has been dramatically decreased, and critics are of the view that this will lead to a rise in domestic violence, and that this will be seen as an invitation for Russia to become even more male-dominated society. And some of the people are even ridiculously saying that this has been done in order to preserve what they call traditional family values, totally unfounded, because preserving family values at the expense of somebody's safety, that doesn't make any sense at all. Viewers, some of the people who proposed the bill, they were saying that this situation, why they had to do it was because many frivolous calls were being made to the police, and when the cops, they would go out and check on the family, it would turn out that no physical activity or physical violence had taken place, and that the call was just frivolous. But this again is unfounded, because reports, in fact, by Russia's state-run media, they report that around 12,000 women in Russia, they die each year resulting from domestic violence. So this bill, this really, this doesn't make any sense, and it is an invitation to male members of the society to become even more harsh and chauvinistic, viewers. But comparisons are also being made to other societies. For instance, the U.S., where like a couple of decades ago, the lawmakers and the authorities, they combined forces to enhance and introduce legislation that was really that was really tough on perpetrators of domestic violence. And at the end of the day, the domestic violence, it was brought down by about 60%. So again, which shows that this recent law that has been signed by Mr. Putin, it will not help so far as women's status in Russia is concerned, and that it is not going to decrease the alarming number of deaths that occur due to domestic violence. So viewers, here a quick break. Stay with us. We'll be back in a while. Welcome, viewers. Viewers, now in this section, news from South Asia, local news that matters most to you. Viewers, Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, she has recently told the parliament that the country's economy is growing at a very massive scale because democracy exists in the country. So she has told the parliamentarians that there is a kind of a correlation between democracy and the economy. Viewers, there have been a number of researches and other reports that really confirm this very same finding, that if you have a democracy inside your country, there are fair chances that your economy can grow. For instance, the ratio by which your economy will grow when you have successive years, as a democracy, you will be you will grow at a very high pace compared to countries that are not a democracy. So viewers, also there has been other important economic indicators such as Bangladeshi imports, which have been recently growing by over 12% in 7 months, and what they really show is the increasing power of the Bangladeshi entrepreneurs, which have more buying power, and they are now procuring foreign machinery and tools to enhance their own factories and their own production work inside Bangladesh, and this is giving birth to more jobs inside the country. Viewers, also work, in fact, on the cross-country Bangladesh and India pipeline. It has been finalized, and 135 kilometers long petroleum pipeline, it will be laid from India to Bangladesh, and the deal will be finalized during Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's visit to New Delhi in April this year. And the spade work, it has already been done, and what needs to be done is that the deal, it needs to be signed, and then the progress and the construction work, it will go ahead. Viewers, also we have news from India, where exit polls show BJP is leading in 3 states, 3 crucial states, including Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, and also in Manipur. And this is seen as a kind of a little victory for the party, and a cause for celebration so far as party leaders are concerned. But Viewers, also in Punjab, there seems to be a very close call between Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress, but so far uh, it is the Congress that seems to be leading the race for the time being. Um, but viewers, questions previously have been raised on the authenticity of the exit polls, because previously some of the predictions made by the exit polls, they turned out to be quite false, in fact. So just like you cannot put all your eggs in one basket, same holds true for the exit polls. But at least at the end of the day, they do show us the kind of direction in which the polls are heading and who is going to be the likely winner. Viewers, also we have news from Pakistan, where Pakistani Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, he paid a visit to Thatta in Sindh, where he stated that the government, it is not going to abandon the poverty-stricken people of Sindh, and that it is the central government is going to help them in whatever field they need help and support. He talked about giving the people kind of a Medicaid health card, and that they will be able to go to a doctor and get regular checkups and get all the health care that they need through the use of that health card, and that it would be subsidized, that they won't have to pay very much when they are using that health card. Also, he stated that there for the people, protective embankment will be set up alongside danger zones in order to secure the areas from the threat of flooding. Also, viewers, he announced a 500 bed hospital in Thatta, and that is going to be a big help to the people who have little access to health care. Viewers, previously the motorway section of Sindh, that has already been completed, and now with this latest dose of development and funding, this will be seen as quite a boon to the people, because previously Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, he had been stating that the central government, it intends to help people from all parts of the region and not one particular province. Viewers, we hope you like our today's show. Um, Please drop us a line at info@millenniumtv.org, and do visit us at millenniumtv.org. Viewers, this is Janiser Ahmed from Millennium TV USA. Until the next show, goodbye.